Hello, everyone. Today we're going to go over the introduction of Vashtorr to the Warhammer 40,000 storyline and what it potentially could mean for the lore, for the hobby, and just in general gameplay and that. And so we're just going to briefly go over it and give you some of my thoughts. Feel free to include your own thoughts down below. Quick spoiler alert, I am not a representative of GW. I do not have a source in the GW company, so a lot of this is going to be just rampant speculation on my part. Now, I'm not going to go into the speculation on whether or not the introduction of Vashtor is also going to introduce more Primarch models and the like. I'll leave that to people like Chapter Master Varric and the like, and other people and talking heads on the internet. Here's a brief recap of what we know of Vashtor from previews that GW has released. We know that he is his own independent demon, greater demon, and we also know that he is a weaponsmith to the other chaos gods in the pantheon. We know that he is created about from a desire to create and manipulate things, and innovation. All of those things are the powers and thoughts that have resonated in the warp to help create him. And we also know that he is making a pact with Abaddon and that he is seeking full godhood at the moment and that he's very much an independent, not controlled by any one god, but kind of a weapons broker to them all, and none of them so far have been willing to get rid of him because they all find him so valuable. And we also know that when he is displayed in that, he is frequently appearing in clouds of pollution, according to the GW Lore Master, and that is about all we know for sure at this point. So what does this mean for the Imperium in the Warhammer 40,000 setting? The biggest impact it's going to have is on the Mechanicus. Obviously, with this demon being the god of innovation, creation, and manipulation of matter, it is going to be viewed as a darker version of the Omnissiah, if not the actual Omnissiah himself. And you're probably going to see a lot of schisms in the Mechanicum as they come to terms with this. You might see them being more zealous in their approach to anyone deviating in thought and pattern. And you might then see them react the way most of the Imperium reacts to anyone who questions the Emperor's divinity with heresy and burning them at the stake. And so we might actually get to see some civil wars in the lore and in the future books because of that among the Mechanicum. Furthermore, with Belisarius Cawl being the so-called prime conduit to the Omnissiah and pushing innovation at this time period in the Imperium, some might even go as far as to say that his push for innovation may have pushed Vashtor to now seek godhood. So you might see in the lore, storylines, Black Library books, more conflict because of Belisarius Cawl, as some people say, hey, you helped create this greater demon, now he's going to be a demon god, and this is your fault, and vice versa. Whether or not it is or not, it's entirely speculation at this point. Another area where this might end up causing a civil war within the Imperium is the fact that the Inquisition might be viewing parts of the Mechanicus as fueling Vashtor, and so trying to shut it down, and thus crossing kind of boundaries in that, stay in your lanes, which the Imperium's not going to be very good about. And you might actually have parts where Guilliman, as Lord Regent, has to stop an overzealous Inquisitor from going after the Mechanicum, and the Mechanicum from overreacting to the Inquisition's line of thinking and questioning into the creation of Vashtor and the part that the Mechanicum himself has to play in it. Now, is these conflicts and divisions that are most likely going to break out in the Imperium part of Abaddon's big plan for taking down the Imperium? It could very well be. I mean, Guilliman could possibly spark a war by restraining the faithful from chastising the Mechanicum, even though he needs to do it. And that right there might cause schisms. And I do believe it's part of a darker strategic plan on the part of Abaddon with the release of Vashtor. And I think another thing to consider too is this is a god of innovation and creation, and it sounds an awful lot like the dragon that the Emperor imprisoned on Mars. Now, maybe one of the reasons Vashtor is now seeking godhood is that essence of him that might be the dragon is getting loose, probably because the Emperor's wards are failing. And if so, what does that mean? Does that mean the Emperor is about to expire on the Golden Throne and be reborn elsewhere? We've seen hints of that in certain bits of lore. I don't think they'll ever answer that particular question, but I think it's something they're going to play with and tease with. Another major effect in the Warhammer 40k universe I see Vashtor having is with the Necrons. Now, the Necrons are all about technology. Technology has almost become a religion. And here you have the god of creation and energy manipulation and mechanical manipulation feeding off of these things. And could it be something that could harm the Necrons? And this might be something that'll lure the Necrons out. Furthermore, Vashtor's been around forever. He hasn't been a god, but he's been a greater demon. Did he, at one point, convince the Necrons to get rid of their mortal bodies? Was he the one who tricked them into getting the mechanical bodies? And if so, they're really going to hate this guy. I don't know if that's the case, but it's kind of an interesting storyline, and I'd like to see if they play with it. The other thing I think of when I think of Vashtor and the Necrons is these Arks of Omen that have been sent out are basically avatars for him. And Necrons tend to use a lot of Satan and what have you, and they're basically the star gods. If they come up against an Ark of Omen, if they capture a star god, are they going to sacrifice it to the Ark of Omens in order to fuel his rise to godhood? I think that's a very possible storyline. I have, again, no GW inside sources. This is just pure speculation. But I think it's fairly good speculation. It'd be cool if it happens, and if they don't do it, well, hey, you can still always make it up and play it along in your own games anyway. Now, in regards to how Vashtor deals with chaos itself and his rise to godhood, one thing you got to consider too is Be'lakor going to be involved. Be'lakor worked somewhat with Abaddon. Of course, he had his own agenda, and Be'lakor also took that night world of Colossi. Is he going to use that as a bribe to get Vashtor to do things that Be'lakor wants done? Or is Be'lakor seeking to help Vashtor because it gets to stick it to the rest of the Pantheon, which is something Be'lakor really enjoys doing, and also maybe sticking it slightly to Abaddon? And if so, is there going to be a storyline where Vashtor is at the newly captured Colossi and turning it into a really kind of cool and new age demon fortress and demon forge for Be'lakor? There's a whole storyline there that could be explored. I don't know if they will or not, but it might be interesting if they do. Another interesting thing to consider is whether or not the dark gods of the Pantheon are going to move against Vashtor covertly, or even in some cases overtly, to prevent him from rising all the way to full godhood. Yes, they all use him for certain things and for weapons and manufacture, but they might be jealous of the fact that he is seeking to elevate himself up to their level. So are you going to see storylines where, say, Thousand Sons and that working for Tzeentch are trying to, low-key try to disrupt Vashtor's plans? Another point to consider is Vashtor is the basically avatar for creation and energy and mechanical manipulation. And if he is going to become a god, I don't know if GW is going to have him accomplish that goal or not. Is he going to have his own Primarch avatar? In which case, the only one I can think of that would actually come close to matching it would be Perturabo. And that leads to other questions, whereas Perturabo during the Siege of Terra, those of you who have read Mortis know he was not okay with the whole demonhood and the warp. And he didn't actually kind of go down that path and become a demon Primarch till during the Scouring or after. I'm not exactly sure when that happened, but it did happen after the Siege of Terra. And quick question is, did Vashtor help corrupt Perturabo and lead him down this path? And is Perturabo, one of the powers behind him? Did Perturabo help broker the deal between Vashtor and Abaddon? These are all storylines that, again, I don't know if they're going to happen, but I think it's a possibility. And I think GW might even play around with it, even with not necessarily in game terms, but also more along the lines in the Black Library might be hinted at. So I'm thinking we're going to see some cool things there that deal with Perturabo. Now, in regards to 40k itself, I think we're going to see a lot of neat things with Vashtor and the Arcs of Omen. Now, I'm wondering if the Arcs of Omen are Fanes for him as well, and if we're going to see things like Demonic Strike, like we did in Battlefleet Gothic Armada, the video game, where you saw that sizzling energy come up and jump to a ship where demons were then teleported on board ship. Only if you're going to see it on a grander scale with demonic invasions of planets that the Arcs of Omen visit. I'm also kind of curious to see what new models come out besides Vashtor himself. As you can see in the picture above, there's obviously some neat little demon smithing things going on that he's able to do. Are we going to get some very cool new demonic models like that three-headed Zinchian giant venom crawler thing that you see above there? And also, is he going to end up bringing about a line of Dark Mechanicus models for GW, much like their Electro Cultists in Blackstone Fortress and other neat little designs? I mean, what does a cultist look like that is a Vashtor cultist? Is it going to be, how far out there are they going to go with it, and what models are they going to release, if any? I hope they release models. I think it's a very cool concept, and I think they can do a lot with it. I'd just like to thank you again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like and subscribe down below. And bear in mind, all of this is speculation on my part. I have no inside knowledge on what's coming with the Vashtor and the Arcs of Omen books and that, other than what's been released on the GW main site. So again, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and have yourself a great day.